So here is the Bionics Bootcamp website, which I pinned in the Discord channel at some point. I'll link it directly here now. But if you haven't gone through these short little getting started tasks, that would be excellent to do as soon as you can, I suppose. But don't worry if you haven't done it either, because you'll still be able to follow along. I'm planning on doing the talky, lecture-y bits, explaining stuff here at the beginning, and then hopefully we'll have most of the second hour to get everyone to try at the same time a nice big challenge together. So that way we can be sure that everyone knows how to work Git, is the idea. But, well, it looks like we're about 5 past, so people may still trickle in, but I think we can get started. How are people doing today? Are people doing well? Have you had good days? Any general comments? I will take the silence as I am doing excellently. Never been better. Wonderful. Okie dokie. Well then, now that we're 5 past, I suppose we'll just get started. So, today's topic is something new. It's no longer Python like it has been these past couple of weeks, but today's topic is something called Git. And it's Git spelled with an I, which is nice and confusing for anyone who's just listening to things instead of able to read it as well. But Git is a type of version control software. And version control software, unless you've done a lot of programming before, or a bit, is probably something not too familiar to you. But it's a very useful category of software, of which Git is the most popular. But these sorts of programs, what you can do with them is, instead of, say, when you're creating different versions of a file, naming one, like changing the file name each time, saying this is first draft, and then second draft, and then third draft, and then final draft, or final draft, or whatever monstrous things that might happen. What you can do with a version control program is just change your file, just work on one file. And what you can do as you go along is save versions in the history via things called commits. So you're committing to those changes. And then later on, if you ever want to look at the earlier versions, you can just go back in time. If you want to create 2 different versions, you can branch the timelines and things like that. And you can do all of this without cluttering up your computer with, your final draft of your essay or whatever. Or in this case, probably code. Although you can also version control a bunch of different things. It works best on text files. So Git does some clever things. So it's much more clever than just, say, saving a copy of your file, another backup, as a different version. What it actually does is saves all the changes that you made, so it can apply the differences. So even if, say, you have thousands and thousands of historical copies of your file, if you've only been making tiny changes, they'll only take up a little bit more space than just one copy of that file would. So it's quite efficient as well. So it's used for a bunch of really, really popular projects. So in addition to the keeping of the history, which is the main reason to use it, you can also push Git repositories to things called remotes. So I'll make that bigger just if I want to scroll on it. So you can post it to things called remotes. And these are just websites. I'm sure you've come across a couple of them. The most popular of which is called GitHub, not GitHab, we can dream. So GitHub is the most popular one, and you can do a bunch of work there. So I, for example, am working on a whole bunch of different projects on here, so you can join different teams and repositories. It's a way for people using Git to collaborate. And another one of those, the one that we actually use for Bionics, is called GitLab. So GitLab is a very similar thing. We have our own Bionics group on here, so the Sheffield Bionics group. A decent number of you should be added to this now. If you are not, then that is what this form that is linked up here is for. If you go ahead and create an account and then send us your username of that form, I can add you. I've so far added 8 people, and then 2 people's usernames I need to figure out, and then whoever else was on there before. So this is our Bionics organization. Here's where we have our different code for different projects. So each one of these is a repository. So you can think of a repository as one project, and it's a standalone thing that you can control the versions of and stuff. So one of our standalone projects is the website itself. So if you've ever been to our Bionics website, which is that one, here, which takes a minute to load. Hey, look at that, how fun. So if you've ever been to this website before, this whole thing, you can see is hosted by GitLab even, but the source code for that website is all here, and that's controlled under a Git repository. So we can see all the things we've done. So the last thing I did 2 weeks ago was I added links to the Discord, and then you can go back through the history and see all the different things that have gone on and happened. And you can also have different branches and parallel histories. So here, you can see exactly all the lines that changed. So it makes it very easy for other people to inspect the changes you make, and for you yourself to find out later what's gone on. And of course, they have a parent, so if we go up one, you can see what happened before that, which is me, adding the right time to one of the posts, because I got the year or the day wrong or something. So things like that. So that is what we're going to learn how to use today, is this Git thing, and by the end of it, what we'll be doing is going to this new repository that I've created under our organization called Say Hello, and it's going to be everyone's job today to write a little bit of Python code. And when I say write Python code, there's no actual Python programming to be done necessarily. If you would like, I highly encourage, if you solved some of those questions in the past 2 weeks, if you did make those sessions, if you've given those worksheet questions a go ahead and put your code in here and push it, and then I'll, take a look at it and give any feedback if you'd like some. But it's just going to be something very, very simple to demonstrate how the Git works more than anything else. But the idea is that a bunch of us will be able to add really simple chunks of code, probably something that just says print and then your name, so you can say hello. And if you don't know how to do that, don't worry, I'll be walking through it with myself first. And then by the end of it, we'll be able to take everyone's individual contributions and combine them here on this repository via things called merge requests. So that is the brief outline for today. We'll all be creating merge requests. But before we jump right into that, it's probably worth visualizing how this whole version control thing works. So I'm going to start with this cool website called learngitbranching.js.org. I've linked that at the bottom of this Git thing here under useful links. It's this visual Git tutorial. So there's actually a whole tutorial if you want to go through here. They teach you things that I personally don't find I use very often, and since it's just a visual one, you don't actually work with real files, which is some of the practical stuff that I think is important. But it is very, very good for imagining how branches work, or you don't even have to imagine because you can see them. So here's the thing that we start with. So to explain what we're seeing on the screen, this C0 stands for commit 0, so that's our first commit. So that's the initial state of our project. So you've just created some files, you decide, okay, I'd like to keep track of the versions of these, and so you initialize a Git repository, and we'll see how to do that in reality in just a few minutes. And then what's happened here is you've added one second commit, so this is one additional version that's been added on top of that. So I've been talking a lot about these Git commits, so how do you actually create them? Well, there's a little bit of nuance that we'll see when we do it practically, but the command that you want to use, and this is, I feel like I should explain that actually. So today, there are a bunch of different ways to actually use Git, but the most universal way is via this command line interface. So in that, it's very similar to programming in that you're talking to the computer with words and text as opposed to clicking on things. So to say create a Git project, you type Git, which is the command, and then something like init, and it'll create a new one. If you're working on Windows, which I suspect many of you are, you'll have to open something called your Git shell after you installed it, or Git CLI it might be called. So something like that, but it should pop open when you find the right thing, something that gives you a listing like this, and you can type Git into it and then get this back, which is some help or something. Yes, Git bash, thank you. Well done, Grace. That is exactly what we should be looking for. So Git bash is what you're looking for if you're on Windows. If you're on a Mac and you've installed it, I think it should just be available in terminal. Although I do not own, nor have I ever owned a Mac, so I'm not entirely certain. But I think it should be similar to Linux, which is what this is. So you can just open a terminal, so terminal, and then go there, and that should be something like this, which you can type Git into, and it should be installed. If you have troubles with this, do not worry. You don't need to follow along at this point. That's what the second half of the session will be for, so I'll be around dedicating 100% of my effort to answering questions and helping people debug things. So don't panic if you're struggling with that stuff. Yeah, so we're going to be learning this Bash interface, but there is, just so you're aware, like graphical versions. There's one called Get Kraken, I think, which is a very funny pun. These people, programmers love puns, don't they? So this is a nice graphical one. It looks quite pretty. It's got a weird, like, partial free, partial premium plan, and it's just a different way to interact with it. You have to learn a different skill set. But the good thing about learning this command line is, if there's somewhere where Git is installed at all, even if the computer doesn't even have a screen, so if you're working on a server or something, which, I don't know, might happen one day, all these commands, they still transfer. So these are the same between Windows, Mac, Linux, no matter what. So they're universal, that's why we're teaching these ones. Plus, I personally exclusively use these. I think they're faster. But there are graphical ones out there in case you're adverse to command line things. Do not worry. Alright, with that out of the way, bouncing back to this example that we see here, we were talking about how you would create a new Git commit. So now that we know that we start all of our commands with Git, and you can see I'm typing down here in this little web demo. This supports a subset of the Git commands. And I can just type Git commit. And that's, I know, surprisingly intuitive. So when you go ahead and do that, you see, hey, we've added a new commit here. And you may be wondering why we have this thing called master and this little asterisk that's pointing here. What this is indicating visually is the branch that we are on. So I mentioned branches very briefly, but branches are like these parallel history kind of things. And they let you do work on different parts of a project simultaneously without them interfering with each other. So say you wanted to add some new cool feature. So we can create a branch. So to do that, you can do git branch and then the name of the branch you put after it. So I'll call it new feature. And you can name those mostly anything you like, except you can't put spaces in them, I don't think. So it's probably best if you stick them together with an underscore, or actually maybe a hyphen is slightly more conventional. So I can go ahead and create that, and now you see, hey, there's this new, well, he got a little cut off in this display here, but new feature thing. Oh, then you keep it short for visuals, that's fine. So they changed it, that won't happen in the real Git. So now you can see there are two branches here. Now, well, what happens if we try a git commit? We can do another commit. So this is creating another version of our file, so we've worked on it a little bit more, and then we have something that looks like that. So now we have one version of the history that is still pointing back here to this version, and then this other version is up here. But maybe we wanted to add to the new feature branch, actually. So what the asterisk does is indicates which branch you're currently on. So currently we're on master, which is like the primary version. That's the one that gets, published or whatever. And then here's something we're working on the side. So if we want to switch branches, the command for that one is called git checkout. So it's like you're checking out a branch at a library. Don't know if that analogy makes a whole bunch of sense there, but checkout is the command for that one. And then you give the name of the branch that you like. So in this case, it's new, and then feat u, because they chopped off my name. So we do that, and now you see, visually, that our little asterisk has moved over to the new feature branch. And now we can create a commit here. Now, it might be worth thinking about, or imagining in your head, I suppose, what will happen if we create a new version on this different branch. Because we already have a version that comes from C2, and that's C3. But theoretically, we're on a different branch, we've changed our files in a different way, and we want to save a different version of those files. So what it actually does is it creates parallel histories for us. So if we do git commit here, now you can see we have two different versions of our files running. So these two different file versions, you can bounce between them. So just like we were doing, or we did a second ago, we can do git checkout, but this time master. Then you can see our last asterisk moves over to git master, and you can do some more work there. And they're totally independent versions. So how this usually practically works in a project like we're going to be doing today, where you have a main repository and a bunch of people are collaborating, is when you copy that repository initially, the first thing you want to do is create your own branch. And the reason for that is, two people can't really make changes on the same branch at the same time. That's a little bit like if you just, say, created a shared folder on Google Drive or whatever else you use to share folders. It had, 10 people try and edit the exact same files in the same folder. You can imagine that would cause some issues. So what you usually do is create a branch so that pushes you off of this history. So this master version here. So other people can keep doing work, but the stuff that you were looking at while you're developing a new feature is exactly the same. So nothing has changed for you. And that's good, because nobody else is going to be breaking your code while you're writing it, or whatever else you happen to be working on. But eventually, you probably want to actually contribute all of the stuff that you've been doing back to the primary repository. And to do that, you use something called git merge. So first what I'm going to do is I'll add another feature or two things. So we'll do our git checkout, which is our favorite command now, and we can do new feature. Wonderful. We see our asterisk over there. We'll add another couple of versions of the file. So there's a git commit. We'll just do one for now. And now we want to stick these branches back together. So we want to take our code that we've just written and we want to contribute it back to the primary repository. Now, on the command line today, when we're going to be doing our practical demonstration, you won't actually be able to update master yourself to maintain an amount of order. I think there's only a couple of people in the Bionics organization that can directly push to master, this master branch, so put new code there. Instead, what you'll be doing is opening a merge request on the actual website. So you'll be pushing this, and then you'll be doing this merging the website. But say that you personally have created several branches on your own, if you're working on two different features or something. You can still use this git merge command. So what you need to do first is make sure that you're on the branch that you want to merge into. So master is the main one, so normally you want to switch to master. So you do your git checkout master. Then you see our asterisk is sitting over here. And if you want to pull in that other version, all you have to do is git merge and the name of that version, which in this case is new feature. New feature. Wonderful. And then you can see our histories, they come back together here. And now we have this one single master branch up here at C8, or commit 8, so this is the 8th version. And this contains changes from all of these versions, and all of these versions, and all of the shared versions. So this is a very abstract, high-level way of looking at things. And this might seem a little bit disconnected from actually versioning files, which is why we're going to jump pretty swiftly into the practical part of this. Okay, so Grace has asked, the direction of the arrow seems a little counterintuitive. Is there a reason for this? So, it's a bit rooted in the fact that I guess computer scientists like drawing trees, but they were born upside down or something. So all trees in computer science are upside down. The reason for these arrows is they're always pointing to the parent commit, because there's actually a way to go back in the history by going up to the parent usually. Is there a reason for this? I think it's a somewhat arbitrary decision. I think you could just as easily say that parents should point to children. But I think both of those are perfectly valid interpretations. I think maybe this communicates the fact that you are at this most recent one, and if you want to change where you are, you have to follow the arrows upwards as opposed to going downwards. But I agree, the reason of the direction of the arrows might not be the most intuitive, but also in actual Git, there aren't arrows and there aren't diagrams like this. So this is purely just a visualization, so I wouldn't worry too much about it for the actual tool itself. Does anyone else have any questions about what we've looked at so far? Because it is quite abstract so far. We're going to solidify it in a second, but it's worth at least understanding kind of the idea behind branching, which is creating different versions, committing, which is saving a version, and then merging, which is recombining them. Are there any questions that people have? You can ask on either the Discord or the Google Meet. Either one works for me. I'll put up a little poll on the Discord. So I put up a little poll in the Discord. Feel free to answer there. If you're confused or anything, let me know in whichever chat's most convenient. And then we'll jump into something that hopefully should make this much more concrete and understandable, which is actually working with real files. And eventually we'll build up to doing myself exactly what I'll be asking you all to do in the second half of the session. And if you, by the way, just filled out like the form recently, I think a couple of people have. Don't worry, before we move to that second half, I'll be sure to add you to the organization. So I've seen you. Okay, cool. We have at least 6 people who've given that a thumbs up. No one seems tragically confused that they've communicated. So I think we'll move on to doing a practical demonstration, putting these branchy, pretty graph ideas into some actual use. So what I've done here on my computer, and here I'll admit in another person. So what I've done here on my computer is just created a folder. You can follow along with this bit if you like, but that's not necessarily the most important. What will be more important to follow along with is the bit in the second half. I just have an empty folder and something useful. If you're in Git Bash, by the way, and this will also work on your Mac terminals or your Linux terminals, there are a couple of very basic commands that aren't directly connected to Git, but that are helpful. ls is one of them. That shows you what is in your current folder. So this current folder is empty. That's why it's not showing me anything. And then there's also one called cd, which lets you change which folder you're in. We'll probably not need a bunch of those, but if you do see me using those, that's what they do. And if you have any additional questions about any commands that I might type, just let me know. So the first thing we'll do is git init. I think actually we might have done that. So did we do that? Yes, we did. So just to demonstrate, I'll go back and we'll do that from scratch. So I'll create a new folder, demo to cd demo 2. So that's not part of whatever you need to know. That's just like general command line stuff. We could put on a session about that if somebody wants at some point, but it's not terribly important. Okay, so here we're in an empty folder. Whoops. Oh, darn, my computer can't find me any LSD. What a shame. So the folder is empty, and we don't have a Git repository here yet. So if we do git status, we don't see anything. It says, hey, this is not a Git repository, and it's stopped looking for them. So what you can do to create one is our command that we did a while ago called git init. So this creates just a fresh one, totally empty, doesn't have anything in it, but it lets you work with Git. So you can see it said that it initialized an empty repository and then it gave this folder here, which is a .git. So it's important to realize that even though Git lets you do crazy things, like delete entirely the files that you're tracking, or totally change them in ways that make them irrecognizable, it's not actually magical for recovering files. So they're all stored in this little hidden folder here. So if this hidden folder gets destroyed, then you will still lose things, but it would take an intentional effort to destroy this folder. So hopefully that's not something that happens too often. If you push them to remotes, so if you do something like push it to GitHub or to GitLab, then you could destroy it on your local computer, and that's fine. You just copy it down again. But when it comes to backups, just as a general like computer sciencey principle, yes, have backups and have several of them, is the idea. Excellent. So once we've created our empty Git repository, what can we actually do with it? Well, you've already seen me type a couple times something called git status. And unsurprisingly, this gives us the status of our current repository. So it says we're on the branch master, which is good, because we know that's the default one that you start at. It says there are no commits yet, which is very true. I have not done any commits. And it also says that there's nothing to commit, because this folder is empty. So, all very intuitive so far. Next thing I'll do is I'll create a file, and I'll add some content to it. This part is pretty unimportant. You can do this in a text editor or whatever. I'll be using a text editor in the command line, but that's, again, irrelevant to the actual thing, so don't worry about this bit. It's just creating a file. So we'll call it test or test.txt. And here we'll write something like, this is a test line. Is a test. So we'll write something like that. Maybe we'll also create a folder. So you can do that with mkdir if you're in Git Bash or a Mac or Linux terminal. That's not terribly important. Again, you can also just do this graphically. Actually, we will do it graphically, just to demonstrate that these are like connected things. So bounce into downloads and then into demo. So here we are. You can see there's our test file that I created a second ago. I'll create a new folder. We'll call it code or something, and in here we can go into our code folder with the change directory thing. We can see that's empty, which aligns with this. Then we can create a file. This time I'll create it in a graphical text editor, just again to demonstrate it doesn't really matter what you do. So one's called gedit on Linux. So I can say, yeah, we'll name this one. This will be a Python one, so we'll say print hello. That's just a Python code. We'll go ahead and save that, and we'll put that into our code folder here. Call it test.py this time. Go ahead and save that. Cool. So now we have sitting here our tests py script, and then we have test text file and a folder that contains the code. So all of that sitting around. We've done some work. You've probably done something more productive than whatever I've just created, and you want to save a version of something. So to do that, first thing you want to do is check, well, what's going on at the moment. And you do that with our friend git status. Git status is basically every other command that I end up typing. So here you can see, oops, very similarly, we're on the branch master, still haven't committed anything, but now it's saying that there are some untracked files. Oh yeah, I'm actually in the code directory. So it's worth noting that wherever you run git status from, it will report the names of the files relative to where that is. So you don't need to worry too much about these dots. That means it's in one directory upwards. But you see if I go back, and we're back in the demo folder, then you can see there's the code folder, there's the text file. So very helpfully, Git has given us a hint here. Something that we didn't actually have to go over in this tree is staging files for commit. So before you actually commit changes, you need to, get your ducks in a row and tell the program exactly what you would like to save and what you would not like to save. So to do that, you add it to what's called the staging area. And you do that with this git add command, which is given very helpfully here. So we can do something like git add and then test.txt. And if we go ahead and run git status, we now see, hey, changes to be committed. So these are in our staging area. This is the ready to send up and commit. And here's stuff that's still not tracked yet. That's our code file. So we could also just type the name of the folder, just do code. Another very helpful thing, however, with git add, is if you look at this list of untracked files and you think to yourself, I would like all of those to be saved, please. You can do that by typing dash and then capital A afterwards. So things that come after this little hyphen, or this dash here, are special options. There's a whole bunch of them. You can use the H option to get help, and it tells you what all the other options are. You do not need to know all of these by heart. These are things usually that when you want to do something that you don't know how to do, you might type this H command and then give this a quick read, or just Google it. Both of those things work. But the idea is this dash A or dash dash all adds all of the changes from the tracked and untracked files. So we can see that even if we create another file, so touch is just a way to hot touch the butt. Sure, why not? That's just created a file called the butt that is in this directory, and it's just an empty file. And touch is just a way to create that. That's another bash thing, not connected to Git. So now you can see that there are several things that are untracked, and if you want to track all of them at once, you can do our git add and capital A, and that is add all of them. And we can double check with our git status. All three of them are there. Fantastic. All right. So now all we have to do is the committing step. So first we'll try just what we tried a second ago over in this graphical version, which is just typing git commit. And that is, to be fair, most of the right direction. Wow, Fish is really spoiling things here, isn't it? That's what's doing all this auto-completing for me. So if I just type git commit, you end up in a place like this. And that looks pretty scary, because you hit return to continue, then you end up here, and then you can't get out of here, very easily anyways. So this is a place called VI, or Vim. It's a text editor. It's actively hostile to what you want to do. So if I were you, I would not bother with just trying to type git commit, because the idea is that this is a text editor, so you can go and like write something, write a message here, and then save it and exit. But you need to know how to use this text editor to do that, and using this text editor is a bit of a pain sometimes. So instead, what I would recommend doing is if you ever get caught here, press escape, the escape key, and colon. You see this little colons appeared here at the bottom, and then Q for quit. And it'll probably ask you what to save, so put an exclamation mark to say, no, I don't want to save that. And then that will get you out of there. Hopefully you don't end up there, though, because you don't need to. Instead, you can do something called -M. The -M stands for a message, and then you just give it your message between these strings, or these speech marks, and that's much easier. You don't get stuck in some hostile text editor. So here, I'll call it, this will be our initial commit, because it's our first version. And we'll go ahead and run that. And you can see, master, we created an initial commit, 3 files have been changed, there have been 2 insertions, that's because I created 2 different lines, and it's created all those files. So now if we do git status, we can see, on branch master, nothing commit, working tree clean. And that is because everything that we have currently in this folder is all up to date, all of our changes are saved into Git. So maybe now a natural question is, what has been saved in the past, say. So say you've just downloaded a repository or something, or maybe it's been a while and you want to know, well, what changes have I made previously? There's a command for that, and it's called git log. So it gives you the log of all the different commits that have happened. So if we type that, we'll see something like this. So we see this commit. This is something called, which type of hash is this? It's probably SHA-256, I think, maybe. The point is, this is a random, well, it's not quite a random string. This string represents, somehow, uniquely, this commit. So if you ever want to refer to this change somehow, if you want to rewind history to it, you can use this name for it, and that will be guaranteed to not conflict with anything else. So if you use this name, you'll never go wrong. Git is also very helpful, though. You only need to use as many letters as are unique. So in this case, I could just do A, and there's only one that starts with A. But if once we have several commits, you can use just, the first 5 letters. Chances are that'll always work for you. And it's like an address, a unique address for that version. Then you can see some other information. You can see it's on our master branch. It was written by me. You can see the date and time when it happened, and then the message that we wrote a second ago, which was initial commit. So if we do, let's go ahead and change something. So we'll just go 1 commit forward, so we can have several commits. So we'll change our code, say. So I'll go to my code and take a look at that. So instead of just printing hello, maybe we've decided we want to say a couple more words, and we'll say hello world, our nice classic Bane programming thing. And now, we can do a git status, see what's going on, what's poppin', and it gives us some information. So we're on branch master, that's lovely. There are some changes that are not staged for commit, which is very helpful, but it tells us that. So it says that we can use git add to update what will be committed, or we can do something called git restore, which throws away all the changes we've made and goes back to the last version. Now, we probably don't want to throw this away at the moment, so instead we want to save it. So it's also given us a bit of a hint here. It said that we could add things with git add, or with git commit, and then this little A flag. So just like we saw with the -M, which lets us write the message between the speech marks, this -A also does the adding for us. Note this will only add files that you've added once before, so it's adding things that you're tracking. So if you create a totally new file, it won't include it. But in this case where I've just changed this file, it will. So we'll give that a go, actually. Real quick, I'll show you a very helpful command. This one's called git diff. So this shows you the difference between what your current project looks like and what the last version looked like. You can also look at the differences between specific last versions, but that's a bit more rare, I suppose, to want to do. But if you just type git diff regularly and hit enter, it'll show you, well, in this code file, it sees that we removed a line that said hello, and we added a line that says hello world. So, we can look at that and see, okay, so we've really only just added this comma world part, that bit. So that's how you can quickly see all the different changes that have happened. And that's a bit similar to a second ago. Sure, we'll look at the website. So, or even the Arms and Glory. So this is some code I wrote with Thomas over the summer in Python. So if you look at versions here, so this in git diff is just basically a local way of doing what this is. So this is saying that these lines were deleted, these lines were added. So that's what's going on there. So if we want to commit it, let's try this shortcut method. So we'll do our git status. We know where we're at. This thing is unstaged, but we can stage it and commit it simultaneously with the -a. So we can try git commit -a and then also -m, and we'll say hello to the world. Hello to the world. I should put less exclamation marks in place. I end every sentence with an exclamation mark. I think I need, I don't know, less caffeine or something. Excellent. Okay, so here you can see slightly different output to what we saw last time. This time it says one file changed, so it realizes it was a change, not a new file. So one thing was inserted, one thing was deleted, and that was this one line deleted, one line inserted. So now we can take a look at our log again. Now you see we see two different things. We have both of our messages here, both of the times that are recorded, as well as these commits here, or these hashes are totally different. So you can see master is now up here at this point, not down here anymore. But say maybe we want to take a look at this commit. So if we want to roll back our version, so actually here, what I'll do is I'll pop open in a separate window. Let's try code, and that's fine. So that's just yet another text editor because I love the diversity, I guess. So here's our hello world file, and you can see here exactly what we wrote in it. It's print hello, comma, world, exclamation point. If we want to roll back the version, we can watch that happen in real time. So I'll make this a bit bigger just in case it's difficult to see. So we see our git log. Now if we want to go back, remember how I said you can use checkout to switch branches? Well, you can also use it to check out particular commits. So say we want to take a look at this one in particular. So let's take that. Or actually, I'll show you the daemon. It only needs to be slightly unique. So actually, this one starts with A. That one does not. So we could just type A. But for good practice, I'll type A and then 79C or something. And then that's probably going to be pretty unique most of the time. So I can do git checkout. And it says, aha, you see that? So over there, our code has changed because we've changed versions, and it did all this automatically. So now it's gone back to just print hello, which is what our first version was. Git has also given us a helpful message saying, hey buddy, you're in a detached head state, which means you can make some experimental changes, and then you can switch back to a branch later. So if you end up in this detached head state, it's sometimes a bit tricky to get back, but it gives you the advice you need, which is just to undo with that, or to switch to a branch to commit with that one. You can do git log to take a look at what's going on here. So now we can just see the master branch is no longer here, because remember the master branch is at our updated version, but we are looking at this version. So maybe to answer very delayed, Grace's question about the arrows is, I guess the arrows indicate what you can see. So if you're at, say, this point, commit 6, in your logs, you will be able to see in the log commit 5, 3, 2, 1, and 0. You will not be able to see the other ones that are hiding over here on this different branch, and you will not be able to see anything beneath you, which is like C8. So I guess to delay, answer that question very delayed, that's kind of the idea of the arrows, I guess. But now we'll follow Git's advice. We want to undo this operation. We'd like to go back to where we were before, so we'll just do git switch and then a dash, and bring us back. It says now we're back at master. Absolutely wonderful. We see our codes change back to hello world, and all is well. Okay, that's quite a bit. I'll ask really quickly if people have, well, no, not really quickly. I'll ask with as much time as you would like, if there are any questions about what we've seen here so far. And then after that, I'll very quickly demonstrate branching, and then I'll show you exactly what I'd love everyone else to do during the second half of the session. So, are there any questions? And I'll create a little poll as well, because we love polls, democracy. Question. Wonderful. I'll wait a couple, just about a minute or so, see if anyone has any questions they're typing up anywhere. And if no one does, we'll go over branches, and then I'll show you the practical demonstration of what we'll be doing later today. And by the way, don't worry about memorizing all of these commands. There are countless references for them. I've given you a tiny reference on the page that I shared earlier. So this one tells you, here's how you branch things, you can merge things, you can do pushing. Here's these git logs and diff status. So this is a little tiny cheat sheet. And if you want a more comprehensive cheat sheet, there's a bunch of them on the internet. Here's one by GitLab. So here's a whole bunch of different things you can do. But do not stress too much if you forget the exact details. Okay, lots of people are at the question or the unsure stage, which is interesting, but also entirely valid. So for the people who are feeling a little unsure, what can I clarify? Because I realize lots of this might look like we're lacking a motivation, perhaps, at this point. But I'm not sure. What is the cause of the unsureness? And it doesn't have to be something you're confused about. It could just be something you're curious about or you're wondering why it's relevant. Does anyone have anything they'd like to chat or say over mic about that? Feel free to. And if not, that's alright too. If you're not sure what the tricky bit is, then we'll give the practical example a go, and then hopefully we'll get everyone caught up during the second bit where we're doing this, where everyone's doing this for themselves. And if any of the disorienting bit is me flopping around and typing in a bunch of different commands here, the only ones you really need to know are the ones that start with git. So don't worry too much about the other ones. You can do all of that through a graphical interface. It's just I'm here already. I'll try and move to doing things more graphically as I go along. Cool. If no one has specific questions at the moment then I'll try and proceed and we'll move on to our practical example, and hopefully that'll help solidify things a little bit, and then we'll move into our quite extended Q&A section today and give everyone a chance to do this on their own. So I definitely don't want to lose people. So real quick, before the practical example, we'll do we'll show off a branch, I guess. Or now we'll show off the branch as part of the practical example. So, the practical example starts, and I've given a loose outline here at the bottom near the challenge. So the first thing to do is something called pulling this repository from GitLab, the Say Hello one, and I've linked you to it. So that's, actually I've already got that open, don't I? So it's the Say Hello one that I showed you earlier. This is where we'll be doing our playing around today. So to pull something means to copy it from this website here, copy it down, or actually we'll be doing a clone rather. So we'll be copying it down from this website and we'll be putting it onto our local computer. So say you've just joined at Bionics, but you want to change the website or something. You can download all the code for the website with clone, you can make your changes, and you can push them back. So for that, I will go to a different folder. So this is just me navigating around on my own computer. I probably want to go to Documents, University, Miscellaneous Societies, Bionics. There we are. I've got a smattering of things in here, but that's fine. I'll plop in. We'll put it in Bootcamp. Wonderful. So from I'll put it in the one. So from here, what you want to do to clone down the repository, and this command will be exactly the same one you're using, is git clone. And then you want to hop over to your window or whatever repository you want to clone. You can press the little clone drop down and it gives you two different links. So you can either clone with SSH, which means that you don't need to use a password, but you do need to do some semi-complex setup beforehand. So I recommend avoiding that. Or you could clone with HTTPS, which just has you put in your username and password. So this is just probably the one that I would strongly recommend. With that being said, I don't remember my password for this website, so I'm going to do this one because I have that set up. But for you lot, I would recommend that when you're cloning it, to clone it with HTTPS. Wonderful. So once you've done that, look, I've already done it once. Wow. Spoiling it, Brooks. Whoops, that was the wrong thing. So then I'll just paste in here that link, and then it just reads git clone and then the exact copy-pasted link. You go ahead and run that. It says cloning in to say hello. It takes a second, connects, spits out some information, receives the objects, and says it's done. So now, if we take a look, we now have a new folder. Not that it's easy to see, and that's say hello. So I'll hop into that. And then from inside of here, you can see, hey look, it's the same thing we can see here. So we got a readme, and we have the say hello.py, that Python file, which is pretty empty at the moment, just with a couple of comments. So what I want you to do today is after you download this repository with the git clone, I would like people to, I'm going to create this directory for you. It's going to be called greetings. So this is just a new folder, and I'll do this graphically as well. So I'll hopefully lose a couple fewer people that way. So hop in here. Boy, I don't know what I'm doing. Hello, Bionics, and say hello. Wonderful. So we created this greetings folder. Now maybe what I'll do, and I'll switch to some graphical editors too, so that's easier. We'll grab VS Code. Cool. And we'll open a new folder. So this is just wherever you write code. Actually, Spider would be a good place for this as well. So Spider is a good example. VS Code is just one of the ones that I use. Wonderful. So this is perhaps a more regular looking text editor where you can just click on the files and then you can see what is in them. So first thing I'll do is go into the greetings folder. I'm going to create a new file. So I'll click new file. Then from in here, I'll call it something unique. So I'll do my name because I've yet to meet someone with my exact same name. At least it's their first name. But you don't have to do your name if you don't want to put your name on there. It just has to be something unique. So you can make it whatever you like as long as you will remember it and nobody else will probably think of it. If somebody else does pick the exact same name as you, don't worry, it's something that can be sorted out. It just takes a bit of extra effort. Because you'll all be doing this simultaneously, right? So if you create something with the same file name, you're going to be trying to edit the same file and it's not going to want to come together very easily. So I'll create something called brooks.py. I'll put something in here. Maybe I'll just, and what I put in here, I do want it to be a function, just for the sake of this challenge. So say I'll take a look at last Python session and I'll take whatever I wrote here at the end. Wow, that was a long worksheet, wasn't it? So say we want to put this file here in there. So we just go ahead and paste it. And for you lot, it's also important that you, whatever you put in here, you put in a function. So we'll say, we'll call this one pet shop. And I'll do that. And then I'll just need to indent everything here. So that's now a function. For people who haven't done a bunch of Python or aren't terribly confident or don't have like a solution just to copy and paste, please don't write any code if you don't want to right now. That's not the point of this session. You can also just do something very simple, like say hello, and then just something like this. This is entirely valid for this section. So it's just saying hello world. That's also a valid function that you can do. So once you have a function or two, doesn't matter how many or how few that you have in your file, this is just a place to show off if you want to. You can hop over to the say hello file, and here you're going to make a change. Here you just want to import this other file. So we saw import very briefly. In this case, we want to import it from the greetings folder. So it actually starts with greetings, dot, and then Brooks, because that's my file name. So that will be, this part will be the same for everyone. This is just whatever you called your file. Don't worry, I'll help you if you have troubles with that. And for my sake, and you can just copy this exact example, it makes it a bit easier. You can rename it to something shorter with the as keyword. Very good job, of course. Thank you, Grace. I forgot, I zoomed in everything except, of course, for VS Code. Wonderful. Very good to mention. Is that better there? Is that more visible? Fantastic, lovely. Thank you, sorry for that trouble. So in case anyone missed over here, if you would like, just copy paste that into your file. The important part is learning that you get not Python for this session. So you can copy something like say hello. And you'll be able to see that in this repository once I publish it. So once we import this file, which is our greetings, Brooks, as we're going to give it a shorter name. So I'll just say Brooks. then you can call whatever function you'd like here. So whatever functions you've defined, you can go ahead and call. So I'll do, say, Brooks dot pet shop. That's one of them. I also had a greeting, I think. So that one was say hello. And you can put as many or few as here as you'd like. Get is carried away or as modest as you please. And then we'll save that file. Stellar. Okay, so just for the sake of my own sanity, I'll make sure this code runs, so I'm not like breaking everything for everyone else. So I'll just run Python say hello. And yep, we can see our output there. We also now have this pets thing, and we can give it hello world. Wonderful. Cool. Oh, and hey, we get to show off a new practical feature that you guys won't have to deal with, but you may if you're creating new folders in the future. So yeah, we'll come back to that and get in just a moment. But you see, it's created a couple folders here. Well, first of all, it's created a pets file, so that's what my code did. So that's fine. It's supposed to. I'll probably include that, but it's also created, because we've just run Python, a PyCache, which is a file or a folder that just Python creates to kind of save your code so it runs faster in the future. But that's not something really you want to save versions of, because it changes constantly. You didn't write it. It gets auto-generated for you. It's not something you want to save. So a way that you can avoid saving certain things is using a git ignore file. And just to make clear, before I dive into this, you probably won't ever need to do this unless you're creating a new repository of your own and you'd like to ignore files. In this example today, you will not need to do this. But the file is just a special file with the name .gitignore. Ignore. And then here you just put all the files that you don't care about. So I really don't care about the PyCache. So I would like to not mind that. And you can see it's gone gray here. That's because this editor actually has some Git integration, so it sees that this one's been modified and these are new files. But we can also see that exact same thing if we bounce back here. So now we've made our changes. Those are all the code changes that you need to make. You can basically just write your import line and then your say hello line. And of course create a new file over there. Then the key is that we're going to go back to Git. We can do something like a Git status, see what's going on. Okay, we see we've modified the say hello file. There's also a load of new files. But I've already checked. I would like to save the greetings folder. I'd like pets and I'd like git ignore. So all that's fine. I'll go ahead and add all of it with our git add all, which is the capital A here. Recall. So now if we do git status, we see we have our git ignore, which I've created. This one's another new file. My Brooks file, my pets file is new, and then the say hello has been modified. And then from there, it's as simple as doing a commit. So you can do your git commit with your message. So we'll say add Brooks's example. Not another exclamation point. I need to help myself from that. All right, add Brooks's example. So all our creating. We go ahead and look at our logs. We can see it's there. Add Brooks's example and initial commit. And then you can go ahead and push that. Now, I have gone and made a small mistake here, and I've done exactly what I told everyone else not to do, which is change the master branch directly. But luckily, I think we can fix that. So, yeah, it's fine. So I'll push this once, and then I'll demonstrate how the branching thing works. So I'll do a push. Here, you'll probably be asked for your username and password. I'm not, again, because I'm using that special key link. But you'll probably ask for a username and password. Then we can see over on what we've uploaded, our say hello. Go ahead and refresh the page. And here we see my message. It was 49 seconds ago that I wrote the git commit line. And then you can also see, here's the pets, here's say hello. If we dig in here, we can see my code file. And it's all there, which is wonderful. So that's going to be everyone's goal today. But now, you may be wondering, how do you do this, seeing as you can't push directly to that master branch like I just did. So I'll quickly whiz through and change the example. So say we have a git status. It's all caught up to date, but I'd like to change something. So I go into my Brooks file. Let's say, hello, Brooks, you messed up. And then that way I can keep myself reminded that I made this mistake. So we hop over here, we do git status. We see this is just kind of rinse and repeat of what we've done last time. So this file has changed. But we don't actually want to add this to the master branch. So instead of making this change here, what we want to do is branch. So we need to get branch, and then the name of our new branch, which we'll call Brooks's feature, something, whatever you'd like. It's totally arbitrary. And then we'll try and change to it, and we'll probably run into an issue here. So if we go to Brooks's feature, we try and check it out, it'll say, oh, okay, no, actually, that's fine. And then we have the status, and we take a look at things. Wonderful. Cool, so it's looking at the exact same way. Then, at this point, it's just a rinse and repeat kind of thing where we do our git commit with our message. So this is changed file, or changed the message, I guess. You should try and make those somewhat descriptive, but also, like, it's not terribly important at the moment. So we'll go ahead and put that on. Oh, of course, I haven't added anything. Thanks, Git. So, in this case, we'll use the -a to add it. It tells me that I can do that down here with the git commit -a. So we'll go ahead and do that. One file change, one insertion, one deletion, and then we can do git status. It's all clean, git log, and you can see all three of the things in the past. You can actually see that master is hanging out back here, and my feature is ahead of it in the timeline. And then last thing we want to do is git push, which is what we did a minute ago. Now this will give us a little message here. It'll say, hey, there's currently no upstream branch. Would you like to create one? Then you can just copy that exact command, set upstream. What this means is that the origin is what is representing this website. Because you can take your branches and you can put them on several different websites. That's unimportant for now. But origin is the one by default. So you can just copy paste this exact command, go ahead and run it, and then it will go ahead and push it to a new branch. Wonderful. Lovely. So now that I've actually done that properly, when we look at our repository here, we see that exactly nothing has changed, and that's because we are still looking at the master branch. So that page is not fully loaded. Oh, no, it has. It's just on a different folder. Got it. So if we go back to this, say hello. So here you can see we're on the master branch. If you click this, you can actually see all the other branches that exist, and you can switch them. So you can look at different versions. So here is my version where I just changed the message. And that's gone back another folder again, so we can go back to our say hello. So it's the same code, except now the most recent thing that's happened is I changed the message. Now hopefully, GitLab knows exactly what I want to do, which is create a merge request. So we could just press this merge request button, and that's the last step of today's challenge for you guys. So if you get this button, just go ahead and press it, that's good. If this doesn't show up, so if you didn't push it just now or whatever, then you can look over here on the side. So I'll expand this so you can actually see the words. So what you want to go down to is merge requests, which looks like this little icon here. That's pretty universal. GitLab uses that as well. They call them something different. Excellent. Stellar. Thank you. God, this is why the audience is here. Wonderful. Yes, so once you're on here, you want to look down inside for something called merge requests. Merge requests looks like that icon. That'll be universal on Git as well, on GitHub as well as GitLab. So go ahead and click on that, except click it correctly. It'll say there's no merge request. So, okay, fine. Click new merge request, and then it says select a source branch. So and a target branch. So your target branch should be master. That's where you want to put things into. And your source should be whichever one that you wrote. So in my case, I wrote Brooks's feature, and you can use that search thing here, so you can search for whatever you're looking for, and do that. Then you can see the most recent thing that happened over there was adding Brooks's example, and then you can just say compare branches and continue. Oh, I thought I selected the target branch, my friend. There we are. So yeah, change the message, Brooks's examples. That's what we would like to merge in over there. So we'll go ahead and continue. Then this is a place, it's like if you're writing a post or something on a website, none of this has anything to do with the code, it's just you communicating to the people that own this code. So you'd say, there's your message, and then you could say why you wanted to do it. So my explanation would be, because I'm bad at demoing things. That could be my example. Leave all this as default, doesn't matter. And then, yeah, all that as default, and you can just submit the merge request. So now, from my end of things, if I go to merge request in the future, well, first of all, from the say hello, I can see, hey, there's an open merge request, so I can go over there, and a couple of other people can as well who are maintainers, you can, or we can see this, or everyone can see this. And then you can take a look at the changes that have been made. So you can go over to changes. So there's the exact changes I made. It shows you the commits. So if there were several would appear. And then what I can do, since I have the permissions to do so, is press this merge button. And that will just go ahead and merge them for us. So that'll take a second. It'll think about it. It says that it was merged just now. And then I can hop over to say hello. And if I look at the master branch, we now get the most recent commit was this merging of things. And that means that if we hop over to Brooks, we can see the most recent version. And that's in the master branch now. And that's gated by people who control the repository. Okay. So that was the practical example. And that's exactly what I would like you all to do today. I will pop up the instructions for those who are feeling brave and want to go for it, and I'll also re-link it. But I'm also here to answer, I'm sure, the probably many questions that resulted from that explanation that I tried to deliver there. So let's see, I'll copy this if you want to give it a go. And I'll also, real quickly, add the people who filled out the form to the organization so you can actually push branches to it. So that's what you want to do. You want to scroll down to challenge and then go for this. Are there any questions? And I'll say, I'll create a poll as well. How are people doing now? And I'll start adding people to the organization as well. Oh, additionally, it's been a little while since the beginning when I asked, but does anyone have, or did anyone submit on the form the username I011 or Schneeman with 1N? Because I could not find either of those on GitLab. Yes, of course, I can share the link. Which link would you like, Ben? Would you like the link to the Git thing? Yes, sorry. I've been posting them in the Google one. I'll put them here as well. That's the one that has the challenge on it. Or are you looking for the form, rather? No, that's fine, thanks. Okay, excellent, yeah. The form is also linked at the very top of that, should you need it. Wonderful, there's the challenge. I'll leave that so people can see it. And I won't do that scrolly thing again. Stellar. And I'll add a couple of extra people. But if anyone, sorry, I didn't finish my thing I was saying there. If anyone had these usernames of I011 or Schneeman, I couldn't find you on GitLab. So if you could verify what your username is for me, that'd be excellent. I found ones that were both similar to both, they were just off by like one letter, but I don't want to accidentally add the wrong person. So just let me know. I'm adding Grace, Dr. Phil, and Boomika now. So you should be able to have all these permissions. Well, I was going to add Grace, but I don't know if I can find Grace. Exciting news, Grace. I cannot find your username on GitLab. I know. Very sad. That could be my problem. I'm going to try these other usernames here and see if I have any better luck with them. Yep, I'm able to find Dr. Phil. Lovely. I appreciate that nickname, and I'll see if I can find Boomika as well. Yes, I put in Grace Faulkner. It's not showed up for me. Is that your name or your username? Yeah, I've also found Boomika. Oh, you know why I can't add you, Grace? You might already own this repository. Let me check if you already have access. No. I don't think you are currently able to, you're not part of the organization, and I can't find you, unfortunately. Do you want to double check your username for me? Meanwhile, I've just added Philip and Boomika to the repository, so they should be added. Yes, I'm very, I'll help out Grace if she needs. Okay, any questions about that process at all of this challenge here? If you get stuck at any point, feel free to drop a message to me either personally in the Discord if you don't want it to be public, or you can put it in the Bootcamp channel if you want other people to be able to see it and benefit from it, or the Google Meets works as well. I'm around to help you debug things, and I'll be on the lookout for new merge requests as well. So I'll be waiting to see what people submitted. Okay, we've got another at Grace Faulkner. Let's give that one a go. We'll copy that. Let me see. Just double checking if I search your name. Do you appear? I'm trying to look in a very, very small window right now. I'll make that a bit bigger for myself. Can I find a Grace? No, my world is graceless. Unfortunately, Grace, I still don't have any luck there. Are you sure this is a GitLab account? Yes. Yeah, Kate is also around. Kate has done this before, and she's also a maintainer, so she can merge requests and answer a bunch of questions. Well, maybe not a bunch of questions. As many questions as Kate wants to answer. But I think she's quite helpful. Wonderful. Right. Okay, Grace is continuing to talk. Grace, would you like to give me an email address instead? It also lets me invite by email address. Alright, we'll give that one a go. And I assume that's at Sheffield. Let's see there. Well, I mean, yeah, okay. I can invite you by email. It's still pretending you don't have a proper account. Yeah, I just looked at your name and I felt like I was looking at it for too long. I was like, did you misspell your own name? But then I realized that would be pretty dumb to do, and of course you didn't. So, sorry about that. Right, invited. I've sent maybe an email to your student email now that says there'll be an invite in there. Let me know if you get that email. In the meantime, I'll continue monitoring our Discord. We have lots of people shrugging with our most recent How Are People Doing. So, are there any things that I can help people out with when it comes to that sort of thing? Or any questions they might have?
Hey Brooks, I just got rejected.
You just got rejected? What does that mean?
It says 422, the change you requested was rejected. Make sure you have access to the thing you need to change.
And you got that after clicking on my invite that I sent you?
Yeah, I clicked on your invite and it was like, nah, mate.
Now that's impressive. It's really rejecting you, isn't it?
I don't know what I've done. Like, is there a paywall? Because when I first Googled it, it's like, pay for me, and I was like, no.
No, there's definitely no paywall behind it. So, GitLab is weird compared to GitHub. GitLab has a fancy, snazzy, premium enterprise supported version, but actually the code for GitLab itself is even open source, so you can run like your own versions of it. So it's very free. And it says that you have an outstanding invitation. Alex Pop asked for access ages ago, and I didn't give it to him, but I sent it his way now. Grace, could you try that in another web browser, or maybe an incognito window that doesn't have any cookies in it or something? That's very, very strange. I won't lie, I did not think that this would be the most challenging part of this. But I suppose I should expect. That's alright, hopefully we'll get it to unbully you soon enough here. I don't think I've missed any questions from people, but I might have. Let's see. We'll have a poll. We'll see who has managed to clone it so far.
I don't know why, but it keeps... I've just tried to put my password in and I had to change my password twice today and it like keeps saying it's invalid.
You had to change your password for GitLab twice today and it says it's invalid. That's fascinating.
It just doesn't like me. This is the only reasonable explanation. I'll try changing it again. Give me a sec.
Okay. That is exceedingly unfortunate. Okay, we've got 4 people who've managed to clone it, which is good at least. I mean, while I'm at it, I'll put the rest of the steps in there, and people can just react up or down to them as they go. Don't scroll, Brooks. You've already got what you want there. So, poll. And additionally, if there's anyone here who's not got like the Python background or isn't feeling like comfortable creating even a Python file, don't worry about it. You can just create any other file you'd like, just a regular text file. That's fine too. Of course, the Python one would be ideal because then at the end we could have one big say hello script that runs code from everyone, and it'll be fun and cute and collaborative. But like that's not the focus. So if that's the struggle, feel free to fly by it and just do the git bits and create some text file instead, as long as you're familiar with Git. Right, create a new Python file, and right, and we also have, and that's fine. The plot thickens. Oh dear, what's the plot, Grace? Oh my lord. You can't reset your password. Wow. That's impressive. I don't know how to approach that. Oh, Grace, potentially quite relevant. Did you connect a different account with GitLab originally? Did you do something like click sign in with GitHub or with Google or with one of those things? Oh, well, never mind. There's all my theories out the window. Yikes. Okay. For you in particular, you were signed in to GitHub though. What?
I mean, I signed into GitHub first because I thought there would be a link from GitHub to GitLab, but I couldn't find it, and then I created the Git. So I don't know if cookies would have remembered me, but...
Wait, so did you create a GitHub account?
I already have a GitHub account.
Got it. But you created a separate GitLab account, obviously.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that is pretty odd, isn't it? For you in particular, you might be able to use the Sheffield Bionics committee email. If you want.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to give it a couple of days because I think it just got a little bit spammed by me. So it's probably just like struggling to cope, and if it doesn't work, then I'll figure out if there's a help email they've got.
Okay, that's quite valid. Yeah, that's very squirrely. I apologize for that. That's not ideal.
That's okay. Thanks, Brooks. It's been really cool.
Okay, do you have any questions? Because if you have questions, then I'm sure other people would love to hear the answers to them.
I think I asked them as I thought of them. Let me just think about what was left to do.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know what, this is probably a specific problem, but I was struggling to sign in to GitHub from Git Bash, but that might be a related thing.
Okay. Were you trying to sign into GitHub, or were you trying to sign into GitLab from Git Bash?
You know what? I'm not really sure. I was just trying to sign in so that I could, I cloned the file, added my bits and bobs in a separate branch. It was like, yeah, go ahead, you go do it now, thanks. And then it was like, do you have a username? And I was like, I do.
Got it.
And then
Okay.
it was like, I don't think
Excellent. Excellent that you pointed that out, because I set a trap for every single one of you to fall into and did not bother explaining it because I forgot. Hi, yes, if you've just installed Git, you need to do these things. You need to set a username and email so that when you actually commit things, your Git log knows what those things are. Otherwise, Git is going to be very, very confused. To do that, you literally just type the command git config, and then you can put -- global, and then user.name, and then in some quotes, go ahead and put your name. I'll just put in my same one again. So that's the username. And this name can be whatever shows up. Again, it doesn't have to be your real name. It doesn't actually matter. That'll set up your username. Then this here will do your email, and you'll need both of those things beforehand. And I totally forgot to mention that to anyone. So, in case you were stuck at an error saying that you need to do one of these things, those are the things to do. And I apologize for setting that trap for you. So there you are. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you were asking about there, Grace. But if it was, sorry, and that's how you fix it.
Yeah, okay. I think I have done that because I just tried to get log and it does have my name next to it.
Okay, that's
Also, I'm sure I created a branch and it says head. It says that. Well, it's done it twice and it says it's on a master branch, which is interesting.
Yes. So when you create a branch, it doesn't automatically switch to one. If you remember the visual example with the thing there, to switch to one, you do get checkout in the branch. So I would do get checkout master here. If you want to do those both in one, which is a very common thing, you can do get checkout, and then you give it a name that doesn't exist yet, and it will probably whine about that. So let's see something wild. And it says, hey, I don't know what that is. If you want to create it, just put a -b in there. That creates and switches the branch. So you can see I've moved from master onto something wild. And you can run get branch list. I lied to you. It's just get list, sorry. Or none of those. One of those will show you. There we are. Get branch -- list, and that'll show you which branch you're on, as well as all the other ones that exist, including the list branch that I just created. But none of these will be on the remote one except for this one, because that's the only one I pushed. But yes. Sorry, that was a lot.
So how do I undo the change that I just tried to make, which accidentally went to master?
So have you committed something to master?
Yeah, by accident, sorry.
Okay, that's alright, as long as you don't push. Did you push to master as well?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay, that's fine then. So if you don't push to master, what you can do is just actually do like the exact branching command from where you currently are. Because you can revert that, but you don't need to at the moment. So what I would do if I were you is just do the get checkout from where you are currently with your -b and give it a new branch name. And then you can just push that branch, and it'll be identical to the master that you're spinning off of now, which has all of your changes and your commits. If you want to roll something back, that's in like do so permanently. So this is something that you should not do once it's pushed, because once it's pushed, you don't want to change the history on the repository, because that'll change it for everyone else. But you can do something called get reset, and then you can give the commit that you want to reset back to. So say you've done get log, I would like to go back to before I added my example, so I go back to the initial commit. And this is an irreversible thing, so I don't have to repull my repository after I do this. Or actually, yeah, I can just repull it. So you do get reset. Hard means actually change your files in your file system, so you'll lose things if you don't have this backed up somewhere. And then you give it the one that you'd like to go back to. And in this case, I'd like to go back to whatever starts with that. Go ahead and do that. Head is now at initial commit. Git log. Everything else, poof, gone into the wind. Here we are. Oh, well, that's done it for something wild, actually. So you want to do that same thing on your master branch, basically. Yeah. Yeah, that one still has it. Does that answer that question? And sorry, I've just thrown both of those commands that you needed off of the screen. So.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. To answer Ben's question, if he's still listening, I assume it's were we supposed to clone it with SSH or HTTPS? The answer is HTTPS. That one will be a password and username that I asked you for. SSH is no password, but it's more complicated to set up. That's outside the scope of this. So definitely HTTPS. I'll type that in the chat in case. HTTPS for this one. Lovely. Okay.
Can I just check, is git pushed only the current branch you're on?
Yes. Yep. So it won't push anything extra. Yeah, and it'll probably tell you if you're pushing a new branch that you need to tell it where to go, and the origin is the place.
I keep trying to control C and it really doesn't like it.
Really? Wait, what do you... Oh, like copying. Yeah. If you're in Git Bash, you probably need to do... It's either Control-Shift-C, or maybe it's the right click or something. I'm not sure. You might have to double check what it is there. But for me, it's Control-Shift-C. And Control-Shift-V.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, access was not enough spicing.
Sorry about that. Woof. That is not ideal.
Okay, don't mind. I'm probably going to head off then, but I'll let you know if it continues.
Okay. Sounds excellent. Yeah, let me know how that continued trauma goes, and hopefully it becomes less traumatic at some point. Cool. Wonderful.
Will do. Alright, thanks.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
See ya. Yes, to respond to Ben's so Ben has gone and put in git clone and put 2 dashes in front of the URL. We'll put it on the Discord. We'll put it here. I don't know if I can really zoom Discord very much. So this is very nearly correct. What you want to do is just leave off those first 2 dashes in front of the URL. So the URL you just put in as a regular URL. So you'll be putting in something like this, but without these dashes. So it's just git clone and then the HTTPS link that you should be able to get from the website, and that will pull it down for you. Now we'll have say hello inside of say hello, which is a disaster on my end, but that's alright, it's just my disaster. So there's the repository or whatever. Cool, I'll create another more progress polls. According to the progress polls, which I'm not sure if people are updating as they actually go along with things, according to those, no one has yet created a new branch. Would anyone like help with that, or a demonstration of how to create a new branch? Because I can show that off now if you would like. Yes, both please, fantastic. Cool, yes, so in this case, so I've conveniently, I think, just retold it. So I'll do git status, we'll check, yep, it's all up to date. So to create a branch, the command for that one was git branch, and then the name of the branch. So in your case, make sure this name here that you choose is unique. I'll say Brooks's, and I'll make it not a feature because that one already exists, Brooks's new test. That name can be anything you'd like as long as it does not have spaces. So now, that's created the branch, but you can see we're still on master. You probably won't see something like that. If you want to see where you are, the command for that, which I figured out painfully a couple minutes ago, was branch and then -- list. So this says I'm still on master. That's where the asterisk is. We want to be there. So to change there, what we can do is git checkout and then just the name of that branch, which is Brooks's new test. So we can get there. By the way, I think this should work for the majority of you. If you feel sick of typing things and you know that it's unique, you can press tab, and the tab key auto-completes things for you. So that might be really helpful when you're typing things. So git checkout Brooks test. Now you can see we're on the new branch. So that's the first step complete, and then from there you just move on to the Python stuff, and then onwards. Does that make sense to everyone? So I'll do a little poll, or I'll just say, are there any questions about this branching here, or is that more helpful to know?
Just wanted to mention you can also use git switch.
You use git switch to switch branches. Is that what you use? Oh, fantastic. I didn't know that was the thing. Or I've just never done it that way.
It's relatively new.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so that's also a way that you could use. Instead, is that just the exact same as to checkout, but switching this to switch?
Yeah, it was just, I think they did it because it was confusing for people that checkout did more than one thing.
Well, I think that is, I think we're seeing that here, aren't we? Yes, yeah, I think, yeah, git switch you can also do. So the example of that would be, if I want to switch back to master, I could do git switch and master. And that brings me to master. Oh, fantastic to know. We learn something new every day. Thank you, Kate. Okay.
No worries, I just find it easier for beginners sometimes to remember.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree. Okay, a couple questions on the Discord. Having people struggling with fatal not a valid name master. Okay. Did you, Maria, try and, when you type that, did you type something like this, where you typed git branch master? No worries if you have to leave early, but happy I could help. Feel free to complete the challenge whenever you can. Wonderful, right. So did you type something like this, Maria, where you had git branch master? Because if so, it might be complaining that that name already exists, so you'll need to choose a unique one here. So it could even be like, my master or something. And Bethan is having a fatal message when you clone the file. Could you paste a little bit more information about that? Does it give you anything specific? Nope, you typed your name. Okay. So you've tried to do something like git branch, and then Maria, and that's giving you issues? Okay. it's worth double checking. After you've pulled it, you might, that's another thing that I didn't very clearly talk about. Okay, so when you clone the repository, it's going to create a new folder, but you're not inside of that folder. You need to be inside of the folder to actually run these commands. So realistically, you'll probably be, and you know what, I'll just purge everything I've created there. So we'll just destroy, say hello, and then I'll get it back. Oh, right, it's been deleted. Yes, I did just delete that. So we'll do our git clone, which everyone hopefully now has been able to do. So we have git clone, but here, you're right, if you try git branch, it's probably going to give you issues. Something, maybe like that, or maybe something different. But if you try then cd to change your directory into the say hello, then your command should work. Does that help the people that are stuck there? Does that work a bit better? Okay, sounds good. And Bethan, are you still having issues with that message when you're cloning a file? Yes, actually, excellent. You've posted it in the Git one, or the, sorry, Google one. Fatal already exists, is now an empty directory. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so did you try and, so, yeah, I think if you're trying to clone for a second time, yeah, if it already exists, it won't let you clone into the same place. So you can either delete that say hello folder, but I'm trying to see what, so are you saying that you started on the Python part before switching a branch? Okay. So you could recover that, or the easiest way would probably just be to delete that folder. If you're working in git bash, and be very, very careful with this command, I would recommend probably just finding it like Windows Explorer, your graphical one, and deleting it. If you want to delete it from the command line, you can leave the say hello, or theoretically, actually, you probably won't be in it, so you'll have the say hello in existence. So I'll get the same error if I try cloning it again here. I assume this is what you've got. Already exists and is not an empty directory. If you want to just delete it, you can type rm, which stands for remove, rf, those are just some extra options, and then the name of the folder. Be sure that you type the full name of the folder, and then enter, and then it disappears, and then you should be able to reclone it. You have to let me know if that unsticks you there. And I'll add, just in case anyone is flying ahead, the last couple of status polls. They're getting a bit spread out now, aren't they? So let's see, say hello. Okay, excellent, sounds good. Yeah, let me know if you run into any more issues, because, yeah, people are trying this from a bunch of different computers, so I'm sure we'll run into some hitches, but that's alright. I'm here to help, and I believe Kate is as well. Stage. I'll phrase that as a question. I feel like I should. And continue to changes. Wonderful. Pull here for you. Okay. So some people got unsticked there, which is good. There are still a couple of people who say, at least on the Discord polls, and again, I'm not sure if those have been updated or not yet, that they've not been able to make or create the new branch. So I'll scroll back to where we did that. Or I'll type it again, because I can't find it. So you want to say hello. So remember, after you clone, you'll need to do cd say hello. That's a bit I left out, which is my fault, I'm sorry. But you'll hop in to there once you've cloned it. And once you've cloned it, you can do git. And the easy one you can do is check out with a -b and then your name. So my name, whatever your name is. Then you'll get switched over and it'll create a new branch. That might work with switch as well. I'm actually not sure. Switch. Nope. Okay, that's fine. So those are the ones to give a go. Would be cloning, and then changing into there with say hello, and then doing get checkout. And you should be in your my name branch, whatever your name is. Ah, okay. No, okay, so no new questions. If there are any new questions, or actually there might be. No, I don't see any. If there are any new questions, feel free to plop those in either chat, and I'll try and keep an eye on them. Cool. I'll see if there have been any merge requests open. I don't think there have yet. No, not quite yet. That's alright. Let's see how people are doing. And by the way, if you haven't gotten past a step on the little Discord polls, and you'd like some help, feel free to just put either the shrug or the down, and I can help address that. That did work, by the way. Fantastic. Excellent. Happy to help. I'm glad that unstuck you. Or got you unstuck. Wonderful. Having issues with committing. Commit issues not staged for commit. Excellent, yes. So if you're having issues with committing and staging your area, saying that no changes are staged, the commands that you probably will need to use are either git add, which is here. So you could, in your case, probably get away with git add -A, and then just trying to git commit afterwards. Additionally, if you'd like to do them all in one step, you can combine it. Actually, no, because you have new files, so you'll probably need to do this one. So I would recommend, in your case, giving that a go. Fill up the git add with a -A. Or you can list the individual files, whichever you prefer. I'll go back to switching branches, checking things out anyways. Wonderful. Okay. Keeping an eye on questions. Please show again how to create a Python folder in the greeting folder. Yes. Okay. So, right. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I've had everyone be doing things online. So I guess probably in your case, what I would do if are you on Murray? Are you on Windows or are you on a Mac? Mac. Okay, excellent. So, not entirely sure which text editor is installed, but I assume if you search with Spotlight or whatever for text editor, something like that, and you click on that, that should give you some place to just write a file. And you should be able to write a Python file there, even if you don't get like nice colors or syntax help. Yes, and then once you're here, you can go ahead and create your file. So you probably want, if it's in the def, or if it's in, I use PyCharm. Ah, fantastic. Do I have PyCharm installed? I bet I do. That is very good to know that you have that installed. I don't want to say that. So PyCharm, look at that, I do. That might launch. Might not. Yeah, there it is. Cool. So from PyCharm, it's just exactly how you would save a regular file on your computer. You just save it into that particular place. Wow, that is really small, PyCharm. I don't know if I can make that more zoomed in. Appearance, not sure. Maria, would you happen to know off the top of your head how to zoom in PyCharm? I mean, if not, I suppose that's alright. So, what I would do is create a new file. You can do a Python file. Yeah, that's alright. So, when you create a new file, a Python file, you can give it a name, probably your name, and then .py. and run it. Do you want to add the following file to Git? Well, sure, but not to HackMed, so no. Oh, actually, so I probably want to create that in the right place. So I see, yeah, where you're showing here. So if I were you, I would go to Open, and then from Open, find where you've cloned the repository. So in my case, that is years away from wherever I am. Not encoding. Under University, Miscellaneous, Societies, Bionics. Say hello. Greetings. We'll just open all and say hello, actually. New window is fine. Sure, take out my whole screen. I don't mind. Excellent. Then here you should be able to see in your exploration thing the greetings folder. And theoretically, my file that I wrote, very small. Don't worry about reading that. So here, you can just right-click on that folder, new Python file, give it a name, go ahead and hit enter. If you want to add it to Git, you can click add. That'll do it automatically for you, so you don't have to do that Git add step later. I'll do cancel so I can demonstrate it. Then here, you can actually write your code. So it could be your hello. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and then you just write it there, and then it's on Git. Neat. All right. Philip's having a question. Excellent. Goodbye. I'll go back down to instructions. Having issues with committing, it wants me to make a commit message. Yes. So, have you done the thing where you just typed git commit like just like, well, not like that, but just like this, I assume? Yes, yeah. So yeah, you'll want to put your -m on and then put in a message. Oh, are you stuck in the text editor? Are you stuck in the dangerous place? Yes, exactly, fantastic, yes. So to escape there, you can do colon and then Q and then exclamation point. Yes. You might have to hit escape a couple of times before you type that, in case you're stuck in a weird mode. But yeah, that's an exciting hostile place. Cool, excellent. That's always exciting when you get stuck in it's called Vim or VI, so I think actually Git by default uses VI, which is the even older, more hostile version of it. The really fancy new version is called NeoVim, which is in Vim, and that's what this whole thing is, but yeah, it's a bit of a trick to exit, so escape if you're not already there, and then colon, Q, and then exclamation point with to not save changes. That'll get you out. That's quite exciting to get stuck there, though. It only happens a few times, though. Then you remember. Wonderful. Okay, so I'll check the polls, see if people are progressing. Cool. So people switching to branches are up to 4 people, which means that either 2 people have floated away and not responded to the poll, which is fine, or the 2 people are still stuck. If 2 people are still stuck on the making a new branch part, let me know, and I will help get you through that. How do you commit them? Yes. Right. So I store that. So if you want to commit your change, so say you're probably were initially in a similar situation to this. We have git status, and you got those empty things. So you probably ran git add -a. So that adds everything. Everything's green now. I don't actually want to commit that. That's fine. Whatever. And then you can do from there git commit, and to avoid the prison of VI, do -m for message, and then give your message between these strings. So this is the message, and that'll work. Hopefully. If it does not, it'll help. And then we can check git log. It should be there. We can see. This is the message. Wonderful. Fantastic. All right. I think it worked. Fantastic. Cool. Did you push it as well? I guess I can check and see if there are any pushed branches. Not yet. Okay. No worries. Yes, when you do push it, let me know if you need help with the merge request part. That's the bit that's just graphically done. So should be alright. It might give you trouble. I'll also slide back down to instructions in case anyone missed those. Cool. Are there any questions I can help with for anyone? It's always a shame doing these things remotely. If there weren't a deadly virus running about, then I'd be prowling around the room semi-predatorily, but very friendlily, to help with any questions people have, or identify where people are stuck, but a bit harder to do from a distance, I suppose. But don't be too shy to let me know. That is entirely fine if you were caught up on something, because it's tricky. Alright. Cool. According to the polls, we've got 3 people who created a new Python file. Would anyone like me to go over the creating a file again? Or is everyone doing alright there? I need an upstream branch for pushing. Yes. So, Philip is just probably, I presume you've run into, and I'll probably run into the same issue here. I presume you've done git push, and you've ended up with something like this. It says it has no upstream branch. Its suggestion is totally fine. If I were you, I would just copy and paste that. So git push, set the upstream to the origin. Origin in this case corresponds to this GitLab link that you cloned it from. So this just sends it back to where it came from and creates this new branch up there. If you ever, for some reason, want to investigate what other options are available, I think it's git remote and list maybe. Maybe not list. Maybe list like that. Maybe neither. There you are. Yeah, so just regular git remote. And that'll tell you origin is the one that is upstream in this case that you want to push to. And that's the same one that it gets you here. Set upstream to the origin. There's only one option. But you can have multiple options, but that's a more complex thing that we probably won't have to deal with very much. Cool. Okay. Pushed it. Fantastic. So, we've got Philip over the line pushing something. That's good. Let's see if we can see it. Look at that! Phil's new file. Fantastic. Wonderful. Alright, I will be eagerly awaiting the merge request from down there. I believe in you. For everyone else, let's see. We'll create a poll just asking generally. Are people stuck anywhere? Question mark. Oh, I phrased that one as a negative question. Interesting. Alright, I'll pop up our example. Wonderful. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Let's see, how many people do we still have hanging around? Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Decent number. 8 still. Okay. Got some on snag somewhere. Alright. For whoever is stuck, is there something that I can help out with? Are you getting a particular error? Feel free to just copy it into either of the chats and I will take a look at it. If you're stuck on just a step in general and you don't know what to do, let me know and I'll run through it again. Let's see. Make 3, 2.
Do you want me to approve Phil's merge request?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, if he's got it there, that's fantastic. As long as it is doing what the challenge says to do, which I assume it does. But yes. Very important greetings. Wonderful. Yes, go for it. Oh, in fact, there are 2 of them. Oh, yes, and Kate's the one as well. Oh, approve yours, Kate. There we are. And you can approve Phil's. Sounds like an excellent plan. Wonderful. Look at that. Stellar. Merged. Very good shout.
Oh, Phil's was there too.
Yes, Phil's is also there, so pounds there. There we are. I hope this works. I think it did, Philip. We'll take a look at it, and it doesn't look good. Oh, look at that, fantastic. You put in a guessing game for me to play with. Wonderful. I think that looks pretty good to me. Stellar. Wonderful. Yep, and merge. Ooh, exciting. Ah, of course there are merge conflicts. That's my fault.
I was wondering if you were going to get into this.
Yes, of course. Right. So because we were all editing the same file, that shifted the responsibility to whoever's merging it of resolving all of those conflicts, which is fine. So instead of having anyone else fix this, because we could have you rebase changes and things, but that's a bit more advanced. So instead, I'll just go ahead and see where this resolve conflicts button takes me, and we'll go ahead and do that. No, because we want to do both of them. Right, so I will have to do this one manually. That's a bit nasty, isn't it? Yeah, so what's gone on here is that we have both edited, Kate and Philip have edited the say hello file, obviously. So Git isn't exactly sure which one of these versions it should take. Now we know that it should just actually take both of these. Well, actually, Kate's aren't being displayed here, but it should combine the whole file. That's a bit tricky for Git to just infer right off the bat, because that can obviously break code sometimes. So sometimes you have to fix those conflicts manually. I guess I will do so myself manually, because I did not account for that. I think that, I guess that's a common thing between both Git Lab and this, so, yep. I'll go ahead and do that. At least it gives me plenty of the guides to walk my way through here. Right, so I'll also fetch the master. So this bit that I'm doing here, faffing about with, you don't need to worry about yourself. This is hopefully something you don't ever need to do, and if you, it's a more advanced thing, so I'm sure we can go over it at some point in the future if people are curious on how to resolve these things. How do we avoid this? Okay, call it TP2. So no. So, the way
this isn't actually a bad thing. Like, it's not something that you should. Oh god, my dogs are barking. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's not a bad thing to have these merge things happen. It just means that it needs like manual attention, which is fine. So this is still probably the best way to do these things. In the real world, it's unlikely that you and Kate and a bunch of other people are at the exact same moment creating these changes. So to avoid that, you would do a git pull, which updates your repository before doing a push of your own. So that way they're not out of sync. And then that would have been fine. But these mergers, they are totally fine to do. So it's, nothing to feel bad about. There's certainly no mistake, and they're very normal. It's just that they require a bit of manual work. Wonderful. Cool. So this is Phil's new file 1. Yeah, so no worries about it. I'll check out master. I'll do a git pull, because I need to, because we're behind by a couple commits. Thanks for letting me know, Git. And then from here, I will merge Phil's stuff. So that is, what is it called? Phil's new file. Does it not like that? Phil's new file. Oh, of course. Yeah, Git probably doesn't know how to merge things. That's entirely valid. So go ahead and that. So then it'll say, yep, you got some conflicts. So it says, go ahead and fix the conflicts and commit the result. So we can then see where our conflicts are. If we do something like status, this is unnecessary, all optional for you guys. So unmerge paths to the say hello. So I'll pop in to say hello. And you can see, here are the different versions. Here's what was at the head, which means what master was at in this particular case. And then everything below this equals line is what Phil wrote. So in our case, what we want to do is take, say, this line here. So we'll yank that and paste that here, I suppose, is fine. And then we'll go ahead and put in your stuff that you've written here. So that's entirely fine. Whoops. It just has to be manually merged, but no worries. Yank. and put that beneath Kate's. So what you're doing here is nothing too terribly fancy. You're just actually sorting out, whoopsie daisy, the conflicts that there were. So you combine it basically into what one file should look like, and then you just delete all the extra fluff. So I delete that bit and then the head bit. And once these special head and equal sign markers are all gone, yeah, then next Kate has written a fantastic explanation there. But yes, you just sort it out like that. You go ahead and get rid of the head and error marks, and you write save it, and then you just do a regular commit, just like we've done before. So we can do git commit. Probably want to stage the changes. So we'll do git status. And it says that both have been modified, and we'll do git add to mark the resolution as it's indicated there. So we'll add our say hello file. Then we can see all is good, and then we can go ahead and do our commit message. And we'll make a message. Stop bullying Phil, poor guy. There we are. Wonderful. And I can just push that back to master. Oh no! Of course, I told people to do HTTPS. Now Brooks has to remember his password. That's the most exciting part of this. Do I remember my password? Hey, look at that lucky guess. Wonderful. And now Phil's changes should be up here in our master branch, and they should look lovely. Yep, we've stopped bullying Phil, and now his greetings are there for all of us. Wonderful, fantastic. Very well done. Okay, I think a couple of people are probably snagged behind. Maria, I think you were really close. How are you doing, Maria, in terms of progressing?
Honestly, I'm clueless. I've been trying to figure it out on my own, but it's not working.
No worries at all. What is the last thing that you've done?
I created the Python file and I wrote something, and then I'm trying to import, but I don't know how.
Ah, of course, yeah. So that's not too bad. So that's just a more Python specific thing, so I would not worry too much about that. Let's see. So here we go. Under greetings. Oh, whoops, sorry, that was the wrong place. You're probably looking at say hello at the moment, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. So I would just follow this template. That works. So you could do import, and then it's greetings dot because it's in the greetings folder, and then it's whatever you called your file. So Phil called his.
Yeah, I'm doing that. It's not working.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So what issues has it given you if you've done this?
Okay, I thought it was me. It's just saying no margin name greetings.
Oh, okay. PyCharm may be giving you an issue like that if it's not configured as a proper Python module, which to be fair, I don't think I bothered doing. But it should still run. Is it a warning or an error that it's giving you?
Yeah, like the text is in gray.
Okay. So have you've done the full .greetings and then also the name of the file, and it's still not playing nice?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, and then just to double check, you do have, and I'm sure you got this part right probably, so your say hello is still in the base folder, and then you put your thing into the greetings folder, and you can see the greetings folder, right?
Yes, let me double check this. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, if it's, so let's see, well, I mean, I'll open it in PyCharm and see if I get the same issue. It might just be PyCharm complaining or not being set up in a way where I can find the module, but that does seem rather strange to me, so. Oh, of course you brought me back here. That's not where I want to be, PyCharm. Open recent, say hello. This window is fine. Okay, let's see, are you going to complain about this, PyCharm? It's folded away. Alright, so mine, I guess it's, yeah, not giving me an error for, but yours you're saying is giving you an error whenever you're trying to type your line down here or whatever, even though you might not have any of these. Okay, Um, for the sake of the exercise, do you want to just go with a line like that and submit that, and then you can push that branch, and if it is actually broken somehow, once you push the branch, I'll be able to see it, and then we can try and figure out why it's broken. But at least that way it doesn't prevent you from trying the rest of the Git things if your Python's being squirrely. But that is very strange, I agree.
Okay, so what do I do now?
Okay, if you've added this line, even if it complains about it a little, and then you called your functions, then you should be good to go ahead and move on to the step where you're adding the files and then committing them. So you could do your Git status, and you should be able to see your new files, hopefully. So that's probably the first step. If you can do a Git status and you can see your new files, then that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Excellent, fantastic. And then from there, as long as the files listed are the ones that you want to add. In your case, I assume you have a .idea folder. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you don't need to commit that one, so you can do manually if you'd like. Git add and then say hello.py, and that should work once. And then also your greetings, and then whatever you called your file here. And you can add both of those. Then if you do a Git status, you should see those two items in green, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent, fantastic. So both those things are in green. That means they're ready to be committed. Do you remember how to create a commit and avoid the the dangerous Vim trap?
No.
That's all right. So to do that, it's the git commit, which is the decently intuitive, and then you do the -m, and then you put your message between quotes. And this could be whatever you'd like.
Okay. Okay.
Wonderful. Cool. And then once you've done your commit, I guess you can verify that it's there. Do you remember how to look at all the commits that have been made in the past?
Yeah, just a second.
And it's alright if you don't have it memorized yet either.
I think I typed something wrong. That's right.
No worries, no worries. Wow, look at that. Katie pushed a bunch of very, very helpful stuff. Addressed, I think, back to Philip's question, so if Philip hasn't seen that, it's definitely worth a look.
Yeah, so after I do git commit, and then I...
Cool, yes. Yeah, after that point, you can verify that it went through, which, of course, if you don't have any errors, it should be in your git log. So you can type git log, and that's all there. And it should bring up a big list of things. And yours should be the most recent one. It should, be from you. And then the last thing to do is just make sure you do a git push, and then that'll probably complain initially, and then you'll just copy and paste the command that it tells you to use instead. Or you could, if you want to preempt that, do that, and then whatever your branch name is here. I'm not sure what you named your branch. It might have just been.
Okay. I got an error.
Alright, what error have you run into?
I'm going to paste.
Alright, sounds good. Upstream does not appear to be in cannot read from request track. Okay, I see. Are you currently in... Yeah, I assume you're in the, say, hello folder at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which branch are you on? If you run git branch -- list, oops, mistyped that. Does it tell you that you're on the Maria branch?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And so, if you just try typing just git push and you type that, what error does that give you? A different error?
The current branch has no upstream branch.
Okay. And then does it give you a command that you can like copy and paste there?
Yeah.
Okay. If you copy and paste that one, does that one work, or does that give you the same error?
Oh, it works.
Okay, excellent, excellent, fantastic. Cool. Then I think the last step is just putting in the merge request on the web interface. Awesome. Cool, wonderful, yes, you can see the branch. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, of course, happy to help. Yes, and Kate has been sharing a bunch of excellent advice here. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Alright, I'll keep an eye out, see what merge request is. Not just yet. Oh, I'm already set it off, I'm sorry. Cool. Alright, I think we are, strictly speaking, 7 minutes past when I was supposed to wrap things up. So I won't keep people trapped for too much longer. I think at this point it's just me, Kate, and Philip. Philip, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask about Git things? If you don't have any answer, not specific. Okay, cool. If you do think of things in the future, feel free to put them in the Discord, and I'll just keep an eye out there, and I'll answer those whenever I have time, or Kate will, because she also knows what she's doing. Sometimes more than me, it seems. Yes.
Not really, though.
But yes, I'm sure we can both help out. But yes, lovely. Thank you so much for coming along, and also for putting in a pull request and everything. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Awesome, sounds good. Yeah, if you want, you can use it for things like, I don't know, if you take notes digitally, like I keep my notes in version control just because, I guess. It makes the most sense for code, I guess. But yeah, cool. Well, it was lovely seeing you, and if that is all, I suppose we'll wrap things up.